Upcycled Vintage Art. It's lunchtime, I'm painting. I'm just going to do a live for a little bit while I'm painting, as you can see, Millennium Falcon and Ewoks today. Let me just see if my Instagram is working here, just a second. Sometimes these things don't work. Let's see. Close. It looks like it's working. Press the button. Maybe? There we go. Okay. I think it's working. So, I'm just going to move my face out of the way because that's not what you're here to see. Okay. Using some new streaming software, still figuring it out. I'm just going to put myself, maybe I will, up in the corner, I'll go extra small. There we are. And I'll move the camera. So you are on a stool right now. I'm just going to slide you around and face you this way, and I'm going to cover up my laptop so that I don't get any paint or anything on there. Let's see how we're going. Good. I think this is all right. So making sure that everything's centered, we're all sorted. I've got my chair. So some of you may know that I work at home. My husband works at home, and my folks are over working today. So it's a noisy house, and there's a lot going on. So you can hear some lunch being made at the moment, but and the hockey's going on. So that's obviously going to be on in the background as well. So let me just get set up. I'm not really sure what colors I'm going to need here. I'm on the last stages of this commission. This is one little corner. I'll show you the other side shortly. And it's at that point where I'm very close to done, and I don't want to mess anything up. So it makes me a little bit nervous, these last touches and stuff. But there's a couple things I'd like to do just to kind of soften what I've added into the painting a little bit more. So I'm not quite sure what colors I need. So I'm adding a bit of all the colors that I've been using along the way. And whether I use them or not, we'll see. So we've got a lot of warm tones, and I'm using Liquidex heavy body acrylic, and we don't want that in there. A little bit frazzled today. It's my daughter, my eldest, turned 18 this week, so she's having a bunch of friends over today, and I was quickly baking a pavlova. For North Americans who may have not had pavlova, it's a very Aussie dessert. It's like the Aussie dessert, Aussie New Zealand dessert. And we had it a lot, the kids had a lot growing up when we lived in Australia. So, because we're all dual citizens. And anyway, on to my Australian side. So anyway, pavlova, which is not too difficult to make, but takes hours to cook and cool, and needs, it's fussy and easy at the same time. So I was just moving the cardboard over so I have a little bit more room here to work. So I'm just going to grab my reference material for this Millennium Falcon. That's not the iPad password. All right, let's see. I do not want I've got Lord of the Rings reference up here at the moment, so I'm wanting, I found a 3D model, so I made a beautiful rendering, and I turned it into just the right angle, and I'm really happy with this angle because you feel like it's just kind of banking, over the forest, like a bit in the distance. This dish is quite a large dish, so this is in the background. So what I'm wanting to do is I want to knock this back so it's a little bit more subtle, and I want to get a bit more light on the top of the Millennium Falcon. So this is kind of what I'm working from, and I've tilted it a little bit closer because I liked how that looked. And that's where I'm going with this. So I think I'm going to warm up with this, for the satellite first, actually, because I'm more nervous about doing the Millennium Falcon, so I want to make sure I do that right. So I'm going to warm up on the easier thing first, so it's a bit more forgiving. So where is my satellite? No, my radar dish. Radar dish. Satellites are in the air. Radar dishes are attached to things on the surface. There we go. So I've got That's one. So I quite like these colors, and even just looking at this right away, I'm like, yep, I kind of have an idea where I want to go with it. I just want to warm it up a little bit and knock it back a little bit. So I am going to grab, let's see, I want a soft warm tone for this. Maybe a little hit of purple in there just to knock it back a bit further. I'm going to thin it out a lot. Let's make sure this is still working. Okay. Oh, glasses would be helpful. See what I'm doing. There we go. All right. My son came in and he's like, I think the dish should be quieter. I'm just gonna knock it back a bit. Some of these, sometimes it doesn't need that much to finish it off. It just sometimes it's just a little bit of a tint and then that's all you need. But you don't know it until you get into it sometimes and see how it looks. So I'm paying attention to where some slightly lighter bits are and knocking it back. Kind of an unusual choice for color, I know, this tan peachy color, but it actually ties in well with the tree. Hold on. See the tree right next to it? So it kind of helps, you want to add colors of the environment in, because like you can have an object and you're like, okay, the satellite dish is gray. It's made with metal, it's going to be gray. But everything reflects light and reflects the things around it. So like, especially all these metal objects that are would have a bit of a sheen to them, they reflect the light as well. So not just light from the sky, but the light bounces off the trees and everything, and those colors shoot up and reflect onto other objects. So tinting it back to a similar color quietens it and makes it more part of the landscape and less like it's been stuck on there afterwards. Just adding the tiniest bits to these just to soften it a bit. So this is a special commission, and the lady that commissioned this is her grandparents' painting that was in her grandparents' home for a long time, and she asked me about this last December. I don't mean this past December, I mean the one before, and we chatted about ideas for a while, and then she dropped it off to me in May, and then I did some sketches. I did some research and was looking up kind of ideas because we knew where we wanted to go but didn't quite know how we wanted it to look. So I did some research and did some studies in pencil to kind of, and you know, what's that? These ones to kind of plan where we wanted things to go, testing it out and different options and stuff. And then once that was settled, I didn't have a patch to paint it for quite a while. So, and then around Christmas, just after Christmas, I started having a bit more time. So, and you would have started to see some of the sketches and studies I was working on in January up until even recently. And that's all in preparation for doing this final bit of art. All those studies are ways of getting familiar with the shapes and the lighting and textures, so that when I come to do it here, I don't have to think about it quite so hard, and because I've kind of already learned how they're put together and all that. So yeah, so anyway, the lady who's been waiting for this has been very, very patient, and I really appreciate it. So but I'm mentioning how long it takes because a few people have been asking about commissions, and I think sometimes it can be surprising that they take so long, but it takes a while for me to do the research and studies. And also, this is not my full-time job. My full-time job is being a mom, and so I don't always have the time to paint every day much as I enjoy it, my schedule is quite flexible, so I've appreciated working with her because she understands and has been very patient. So I'm just stepping back for a moment to look at this. And I'm actually looking in the video there to see how this looks. I'm much happier with it. The softness. Oh, thank you. Yeah, much happier with the softness of this. So it's just it's just a little bit quieter everywhere, which is nice. Anyway, I'm not closed to commissions. Like I quite enjoy doing them and stuff, but because my time is so limited, I don't say yes, I will be doing it. It will be happening in May because my life at the moment needs to be very flexible because I'm the stay-at-home mom and need to be available for my teens, even my 18-year-old one. So yeah, so but if you're interested in a commission like this, like, you know, this lady, she was very keen and had this painting that was her grandparents' painting. If you're interested, drop me a note, send me photos of the art, we can chat about it. These things, good things are worth waiting for. It's worth taking the time to make sure they're done properly. And yeah, and sometimes, like with certain pieces, they actually fit in well with what I'm working on, what I've got on my schedule for releases for I've got some themed art drops. Like I've got like this one, I'll have prints and digitals available for my May the 4th art drop, and but I've got a Middle Earth art drop in March. So if there's any special requests and stuff for either of those art drops, it's a good time to let me know now, because sometimes I can fit commissions in alongside other pieces that I've already planned and have other people have been waiting for. So I think I'm pretty happy. It feels a bit too, it's a little too warm, so I'm just gonna do a bluer soft tone to continue to knock it back, because I feel like there's some parts that, while I love the shapes, they're still a bit too strong. So I've got to knock it back a little bit further just to quiet it, because the Falcon's the focal point, not the radar dish. So I'm just going to, this is the tricky part. I'm realizing when I painted this, the Millennium Falcon, I actually painted it upside down from that side of the table. So you were sitting where I am meant to be sitting. So I didn't really think this through very well. And I need my, yeah, I did think this through. I need my reading glasses. There we go, that's better. Okay. So I'm just, as much as I love this graphic, these quick brush strokes that are darker, and I'm just going right over top with a slightly grayer tone to knock back these fine shapes just a tiny bit more, so that they don't stand out quite so much next to the Falcon. And making sure it's still working over there. Okay. So I keep looking up. I'm not looking at you. I'm looking because the video on my laptop shows me kind of a bit of a backed up view of this with the lighter tones. So I have a bit more of a sense of whether I've lightened it enough or whether I need to push it a bit further. So just gonna brush a little bit of a cooler tone on here just to soften this warm one that I've added, because it doesn't all need to be warm, just needed to be in a couple little places. So a couple places can be cooler, and that would be enough. Just brushing it on a little tiny bit. And particularly here. So while it's reflecting the forest, and there is some warm tones. It's not all the way across. It actually transitions to a cooler tone on this side of the satellite dish. So just gonna go back a little bit, knock this back a tiny bit, some softness. Okay, and right here too, there's a lot of unusual textures. Oh, that's kind of nice. There's some texture already on here from the mountain, which the brush picked up. So I'm going to work with that. That will act as the wires and extra bits, random bits on the radar dish. So I think let's make this little receiver thingy a bit finer. Okay, I feel like I need to bring back a couple of these, a couple dark details just to kind of have it say radar dish a little bit stronger. Just grabbing my canvas to wipe my brush off. Just a couple little details just to bring it out. I don't want to be doing too much on this because this is not the focal point. Sorry. So the next stage after this, once the painting's all done, I'm happy with it. Might be like, great, prints will be ready next week. It takes a little time to photograph. Like my daughter's been photographing my art for the last few years, and she's very good at yeah. So what we do is we take photos of it in pieces, really close to get as much detail as possible because it's too big to go in the scanner and scan at high quality. And then we stitch it together. I stitch it together in Photoshop, and then I color correct to match the original as much as possible. The thing with paint is that it has a luminosity to it and a depth, which when you take a photo of something, you're capturing that moment, the light on an object in that exact moment. Like if you take a photo of a sunset, right? It's sunsets change, like when you have you picture a sunset and you look at everything around it, it kind of tints it with that kind of light. And that's the same thing with art. It can look different in different lighting, and paint, it's not just one color. Like it often has a bit of a depth to it and reflects differently. Sometimes it has a sheen, sometimes it's translucent. So in certain lights you get more of a blue tone, in other lights you get more of a green or a warm tone. And when we photograph, we try and get as neutral a lighting as possible, and the texture, even if the light's coming from the side, it can make it look different and catch different details in the texture. So we have to decide, I have to decide what best represents this really dynamic painting. Like paintings have so much, yeah, it's not just one way. When you have an original painting, that it looks different, looks different night to day, afternoon sun, different lighting. But when you take a photo of it, you get one moment, you get one version of color. It doesn't change. It's when you print it with ink, that's the version you've got. So when I'm doing the color correcting, I'm trying to match the original art, match the feel of the original art. But sometimes, like when you see a video like this, where you see the reel afterwards, and you're like, oh, that looks cool, and then you see the print, you're like, oh, the color's a little different. That's because I have to decide. Sometimes you see a reel and it looks great, but that's not actually like it's very close to the original color, but maybe it's missing a bit of a nice kick. Anyway, I have to decide which version of this painting is going to be the print. So yeah, what best represents it. So that's why it takes me a while. I have to color correct and touch it up and remove any, sometimes the beautiful cracks on here, when you scan it or take a photo of it and you look up close or you go to print it, it can look like hairs or dirt. So sometimes I go in and I remove things that look fine on the original but do not look fine on a scan. So yeah, anyway, that's why it takes me a long time to get the prints, and it's just me doing that. So if I'm doing that, I'm not painting, so I've got to just balance my time a little bit, and I try and get them out as quickly as possible, but sometimes it takes me a little while. And some paintings do not translate well as prints. I've had a couple that are predominantly white, like a lot of beautiful soft white texture, and just the camera couldn't even, you needed the texture to see what I painted, because it needed the reflections and the light. As soon as you scanned it, you lose all the texture that helps show what it is. So some of them didn't look as good as prints, and they're not available as prints because I just couldn't get it. Yeah, because it looked good because of the texture, and when you see a photograph of it, I'm like, oh, that looks great, but when you print it, it's like, oh, it just doesn't look right. So anyway, that's why. Okay, I think this is, I think I've pulled in enough detail again. Some of these little tiny details, just finishing it off, and I think I'm happy with that. I don't think it needs any more down there. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna switch it around, and I'm gonna extend the arm of my camera, and we're gonna slide over here to the Ewok side of the picture, because I'm just gonna put a weight on my stand here so the light doesn't fall over, or the stand doesn't fall over. So we're gonna come over here a little bit, see how far I can reach this. Here we go. So I've keyed cardboard, or a big masonite board over top of the other half, because I don't want to risk dropping. I have dropped my phone into a painting before, and that was heartbreaking. So I've got to, that's why I'm being careful. So I'm going to slide this down a little bit. See if I can get this down further. I don't think this is going to reach quite so far, so I'm going to tilt you a little bit. Whoop, there we go. You all right? Not making you sick? I'm going to move this down. I'm going to put my bucket of water. My glasses. Someone told me the other day, it's like, I love how authentic your content, like I'm not making fun, but it made me laugh. So I'm like, here we go. This is really authentic content. This is what it's like, just swiveling the camera. Okay, so we've got 3 Ewoks here, and we've got Tana, or the actual planet of Endor, up here. I am going to sit. Let's see. Oh, you can still see me there. That's fine. So I'm very happy with these. They don't need much. Sorry, I'm just rolling onto a whole bunch of wires on the floor. On my chargers. They don't need much, but I feel like when I step back, to me it looks very red, yellow, blue, like the tones of them. And I feel like this is what I was talking about before with the reflected light. They reflect light too, like the fur and all that stuff reflects light. So I need to just tie it together a little bit better. So, because even though the Ewoks are often, like in this reference, very distinct. You've got a very yellow, very bluey, black, green. You've got a very gray, very warm. Even though they're very distinct there, they're still tied in. You can see other tones in there. So I'm just gonna, I have a feeling that it might be as simple as just brushing over a little bit of a greener tone. So I'm going to try that and see if that's all it needed. Just because there's all this greenery around it, and I think naturally it would feel like it's coming out of it a bit more. And it needs to be a dirty green, not a straight. This is sap green, and it's my favorite green because it's very natural, but I feel like it needs to be, yeah, and this is the color it needs. Just needs a little bit of dirtying up the color, so it feels like it's coming out of the background a bit more. So I'm kind of glazing it, I guess. Not really glazing, tinting it. I don't want to do too much because I don't want to ruin. I don't want to ruin everything. I don't want the whole thing to be tinted green. Just a little bit, just just the tiniest little bit, maybe in the shadows to cool it down a bit, a little bit around the ears, not a whole lot. I'm gonna grab my eraser, aka Q-tip. Yeah, this is exactly what this one needed. So even though he's very warm, just adding this little bit of greener color makes him feel like he's part of the landscape a bit more. Oops, that's a bit too much brown. Let me just so this is one of those ideas that I've been asked to do a lot. So when this lady said, "Oh, I'd love Ewoks," I was actually quite pleased. The lady who commissioned this, because I've been wanting to do Ewoks for a while, and it always kicks up the debate. It's the if you grew up with when Star Wars came out and you like loved it, I know a few people who are like, ugh, Ewoks. But I love the Ewoks. Oh, they're great. Like, I grew up with them and love them. But my husband is like, ugh, Ewoks. And I'm like, I think they're adorable. They're wonderful. I think if I'm going to stereotype, a lot of the guys I've talked to don't love the Ewoks. They prefer all the action and all that stuff. But I think too, as a girl with not a lot of, I mean, you got Princess Leia, she's amazing, but not a lot of strong female characters. And you watch shows like I just think, oh, I kind of like cuddly character. Maybe, and I watched the Ewoks cartoon when I was a kid, so and I loved it. So yeah, I think that definitely has helped this one. That was very, very yellow, just a little bit of, not much. I want to still see some of the warmth where the sun comes through and you get the purest color, but this little bit of cooler color is definitely helping tie, like, knock this back into the picture a bit more, make it feel like it's always been there rather than painted on afterwards. Anyway, I love the Ewoks. My husband, he came, he's like, they look really good. He's trying to be very supportive, even though, like, he'd much rather I paint a ship or the Death Star or something more, I don't know, cooler. I don't know. But yeah. Anyway, what do you think? You'll have to tell me if you like the Ewoks too. I was laughing, we're watching Stranger Things with my teens, and there's a scene where they're like talking about, it's not really a spoiler, but one of the characters was saying how much he liked, he didn't call them the Ewoks, he says, oh yeah, the one with the teddy bears, the cute little teddy bears. Then the others were all like totally like insulted, and kind of confirmed their point of view of him, that he was, you know, not cool. But I guess they were like a little bit insulted that he didn't know, or that he thought, oh, you would like Ewoks. Anyway, I thought that was a pretty cute moment, and it just kind of captures, like, yeah, there's this definitely two pools of thought with them, and very opinionated pools of thought. So anyway, we've got those two pools of thought right in my own home, so it's kind of funny. But I think that they're great. I'm just softening this shadow a little bit because I kind of felt like it didn't need to be quite so dark. And right here it could come up a little bit higher where his feet are, so it doesn't need to be quite so dark. Anyway, I'm nattering a bit about the Ewoks. I hope nobody feels annoyed about it, but it's kind of like that debate between the original series versus the new ones. So people are like, oh, why? You don't need any new ones. And other people are like, oh, I love them. I think, yeah. Everyone's got their favorites. So I'm just softening the shadows just a tiny bit because I just felt like they're just a tiny bit too dark. And I think I'm happier with that. There we go. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Okay, so and also the other thing I wanted to fix on this guy was I'm just cleaning my brush off. This peach is very bossy. It's gonna ruin any other color if I don't get it off the brush. Oh, it's raining. So his belt needs to be a cooler tone just to help knock make him not so monochromatic. So green is not the right color. Let's try a bit of this purpley blackish sort of color. I'm gonna take that off. I mean, that's already a bit better. I feel like it needs to be a bit of a grayish. No, it's too warm. Doesn't need much, it just needs to just be a little bit of a different color just to kind of, that's a bit better because it ties it in with this guy here, and he's got a little bit of blue in him too. In fact, I'm just going to add a little bit under his foot just to cool down the shadow a little bit. There we go. Don't know what happened there. This is looking a bit, it's like you can see through it. That's better. There we go. All right, so I'm happy with these guys. Now for this fuzzy derriere, I really love this guy. So he's got the same problem. He's too blue, and he needs a tiny bit of a warmer tone. So I think he can use a bit of this green, but we're gonna go for a warmer green color just to tie him in softly. I'm kind of jumping around here as I'm testing it out to see how I feel about it. I'll make sure it's still working. So if you're just popping on now, this is my Friday painting time. I'm trying to do this on just turn the camera on live on Fridays and Wednesdays around oh, this is too green, around lunch when I'm working, just to gives you a chance to see what I'm working on in real time. And yeah. So what I'm doing is I'm just softening up, knocking this one back a little bit to try and, he was very blue before, and even though he is naturally those colors a bit more, I just wanted to just make it a little bit more neutral so it blends into the rest of the painting, so it's not look like it's just been stuck on. So, and also they were all a bit individual colors, and I just wanted to, it just needed a little bit of softening how they blend in with each other. And I did spend a lot of time painting this fuzzy bum the other day. I did not expect that would be part of my job description, but he does have a cute bum. There we go. That's better. So from here looking at them, I feel like, yeah, they feel like they're all kind of together. It doesn't feel like they're standing out too much. I feel like this one needs just a bit more cool in even though this hood is very warm, it just needs a couple cool colors in it just to help knock it back and balance it a little bit. And maybe a little bit of reflective blue here from his buddy. Yeah, I feel like I'm happy with them. Okay, no more avoiding. I'm gonna come over here to the Millennium Falcon and put like a coat on there. So like the lighting, it's coming this way, right? So they're all a little bit backlit. So he's a little bit of a silhouette, a little bit of glowy fur coming there, you know, making everything stand out a little bit. I might come back in and do some more highlights after this, but I'm gonna do the most important thing, which I'm gonna slide the camera over this way again, and I'm going to get a bigger brush, and we're just gonna tint a couple of the panels, because I just feel like the light needs to be, even though I've got everything where I want it, sorry, I'm just moving all over the place here. Even though this is where I want it, I just want the light to be hitting it, just so, and just so. I need a bigger brush. This is not a bitsy kind of part of the painting. This is it needs to be a bit of a broad part. So let's see. Just gonna grab my reference again, just so I feel confident in what I want to do. Okay, so this is from being lit up from behind, right? And from above. Just a few bits that I felt like needed to be knocked back a little bit. Sorry, I'm not talking because this is scary. And I'm thinking. Round radar dish. I think. Round? Yes, round. I used my X-Acto to scrape off some of the painting from around the outside, so that's why I'm adding a little bit of soft white around it just to soak into the canvas and the paint, just to help seal it back in, where I may have scraped some of it off while I was adjusting the shape. Oop, that's a bit too much. I just wanted to kind of just seal it in there and soften it a bit. Now, my husband hasn't seen this. He usually always comes in and is very, very critical of the of any of the ships that I do. So it's super helpful. But I made him not look because I knew I had to fix a couple things. Like, don't look before I fixed it because it will just. Too much. So the same thing as the Ewoks. It's a bit backlit, but it's also daytime, so it is going to be bright on the top. It's not like a full shadow. The darkest shadows are going to be just under that, just under this edge a little bit. It's a weird shape, the ship, because this is very official. You kind of naturally want to make this a really straight curve, but it's got a bit of a bend here before it goes round. So just getting that slight bit in there is important. And looking up there on the video, I'm actually really happy with this. So I can feel I've just put my arm in wet paint. Dude, yes! Sorry. Or is it tied? Tied. Yeah. This is really important. If you're not, if the Olympic hockey's on it right at the moment, and this is like, I really want, if Canada gets through, it'd be amazing. If they don't get through, they get nothing. So, or if they don't get through, they get to battle it out for bronze. We are very proud of our women's hockey team. It's exciting because the men's hockey teams had a bit of a harder time. Or had to, yeah, anyway. And I hope everyone's following the curling. All right. I need to leave this here in a moment because my phone is going to go off because I'm, as I said at the beginning, baking a pavlova for my daughter's birthday, having some friends over. It's a very time-consuming birthday cake to make because I just need to check on it and stuff. So anyway, and it's kind of a nice natural ending because as you may have noticed from previous times when I've done this, I can kind of spend a long time doing this. I didn't have a planned ending. I just paint until I feel like I'm done or I'm getting tired and starting to make more mistakes and I'm fixing things. So just looking, I could need a bit of a highlight here. I wonder if I've left it too long. Hold on. Before the paint dries, I just want to pull back a little bit. Yay, it wasn't too dry. Removing just a little bit of the white from the darkest shadows where I really quite liked them. Just along the edge of these, I don't know what these are. Intake vents? Air intake vent? I don't know. And just a little bit here. Not removing all of it, just a tiny bit to kind of help. I can't decide. I kind of feel like I'm definitely at the stage where if I keep fiddling, I will start to make more mistakes than improving it. So I think I'm officially at the stage where I need my husband to have a look at this because he's the resident expert on Star Wars. At least the most opinionated on Star Wars. I know he can't hear me because he's watching hockey. And he's probably not going to watch this either, so... Anyway, no, he's very helpful. He's very helpful with his perspective on my especially my Star Wars art, because he wants it to look, he really enjoys it, so he wants it to look just right. So I always appreciate it when he comes in. He's like, "You've got it," because I feel like, okay, I feel like he can't hold it back. If I've not done a good job, he will tell me if it looks funny, and that's exactly what you want. I don't need someone to tell me it looks good if it does not. I'd rather fix it. Okay, I definitely am at the point where I'm messing around with it, and I'm looking at it on the screen there and thinking about what I can do. So I just need to I need to stop. I need to stop. So I'm gonna leave it there for today, guys, and have them have a look at it, and then yeah, because I think I'm pretty much done. But I just I need others to have a peek at it before I can say, yeah, it's finished. So I'm a bit too close to it to make the call, and yep, sometimes you just need to go back. Yeah, so I'm gonna leave it there. Thanks for hanging out with me while I was doing a bit of work, and I'll share more soon. And then I'm gonna like as always, I share the finished reels when when they're done. And this one's a commission, but I'm selling prints and digitals of this one as well. So yeah, I've got my May the 4th art drop coming up, so they'll be ready well before then. And yeah, if you're interested in a commission, drop me a note, and we can see if it fits in with what I'm working on at the moment. Sometimes I can fit them in earlier than later. But yeah, happy to chat. This one was this lady's her grandparents' painting, so it feels nice being able to add something fun into it so they can enjoy it again and make it a bit their own. So anyway, thanks for following along. I'm gonna leave it there, and I've gotta reach across and hit the button somehow without, actually this is very awkward. I'm just gonna come around. There you go. All right, okay, thanks guys.